lights can take one.
6:33.
Okay.
We're good. All right. Good evening, Litchfield. How's everybody doing tonight? Doing good. Welcome to the Thursday, September 1st, 2022 meeting of the Litchfield Conservation Commission. I call this meeting to order at 6:33 p.m. Ms. Plansky, could you take us through the roll call?
Michael Croto,
Here.
Joe McGibbon. Here. Jason Brennan.
Here.
Harry Masigian.
Here.
And Matthew Hoffman.
Here.
Diane Plansky also here.
Excellent. So we're missing Andrew Thompson and we're missing Jack Curtin.
Yes.
And
Talk about that a little
ex
later.
officio
And
member as well.
Kevin Lynch.
Kevin Lynch.
Oh, Kevin Lynch, yes.
Okay, public input related to non-agenda items. Is there any public input related to non-agenda items? Hi. Welcome. Come on up to the table. Introduce yourself, name and address.
So my name is Doreen Weiss, 11 Johnston Circle in Litchfield.
Can you spell your last name, please?
W-E-I-S-S.
Thank you, Doreen.
Welcome.
And I have a letter, ready?
Yep.
I have a letter of denial from the building department, and the reason she is here, I just wanna, mention to the new members that Litchfield has a 75-foot building setback from wetlands and a 50-foot non-disturbance area. Her building at 11 Johnston Circle is right on the 75-foot building setback. And she would like to put a 12-by-12 deck on the back. She has the denial letter that you might want to read out loud, and then she has pictures showing what she wants to do.
Okay. Let me call it, what was the address again? 11 Johnston Circle.
You need that on, TV on.
Let me see we're gonna bring up the piece of property on here just so that we can take a
Okay.
look.
Oh, great.
And if you can give us a couple of minute overview on what you're trying to do.
Sure.
And
Be happy
Joan,
to.
if you can help lead the other part of it, that, from our side, that would be good.
Well, do you want to read the building permit denials of how she got to the zoning board?
Okay, so the denial is to Doreen Weiss. Based on my review of your application for building permit number 22-000415 for the construction of a deck at 11 Johnston Circle in Litchfield, your permit application is denied at this time. The property is located in a housing for older persons development in the Southwestern Commercial District with the Wetlands Conservation District as an overlay district. In accordance with the Town of Litchfield Zoning Ordinance Article 1200.00 Wetlands Conservation District, Section 1207-02, Setbacks and Buffers, buildings must be set back 75 feet from delineated wetland boundary, as shown on the certified foundation plan attached for your property. The proposed deck would extend 10.3 feet into the 75-foot setback from the delineated wetlands and therefore is not allowed. If you feel this is unjust, you may apply for a variance to the Zoning Board of Adjustments to construct the proposed deck as shown within the 75-foot building setback in the Wetlands Conservation District. Please feel free to contact me with any questions or concerns that you may have. And this document was created by Jeffrey Blackwell, our building inspector for the Town of Litchfield.
Okay, thank you.
So, Ms. Weiss is going to the zoning board September 19th, and in that ordinance, it says she has to have input from the Conservation Commission, and that's why she's here.
Okay. And Joan, for the Conservation Commission, we don't have to notify abutters as
No,
part of
the
this
zoning board
process. The zoning board
Because
does.
she's going to the zoning
Okay.
board.
Because had we had to notify abutters on our end, we would have probably had to delay this.
Right, but we don't,
Speak
So-
at all,
11,
but,
that's about, and then she has them all labeled nicely.
so I decided that I wanted to add a 12-by-12 deck off my enclosed porch, and,
Michael, here's the,
my attached neighbor, because it's like a condo that's attached, number 13, had put on a deck in 2019.
this is her.
Okay.
And I have a copy of the permit for the Bakers who were living there at the time. and they did not have to apply for a special exception, nor was there a variance. They just got their permit, no problem. So I thought that's what was gonna happen to
This
me.
is Stage Crossing, right?
Pardon?
No,
Oh, it's not?
Annandale.
Annandale. Okay.
Annandale, yes.
Okay,
Annandale by the river.
yeah.
Okay,
There's
so,
several of these built behind here, is that correct?
pardon?
It's
Yes,
not
there's-
just you and one other.
Oh,
there's
no,
several.
there's like
Yeah, it's-
57 homes.
Right, but a number of them have decks off the back, is that correct?
Oh, number of them.
Yeah,
And
okay.
Yes.
This was, we had, during those times, we had 2 temporary building inspectors and a previous building inspector. So can't really go by what happened before. Jeff did look through all the files to see what had happened in the past. So he's going by what the ordinance says.
Okay.
Exactly. So as I learned, I needed to apply for a special exception, which I have the application here, but I'm not gonna belabor that. Basically, the buffer is very clear on the pictures. It's a big grassy buffer. The deck is gonna be elevated at 8 feet to meet the porch. So there'll be some posts. There'll be no, they won't be doing any dredging. There won't be any excavation. There won't be any kind of disruption to the soils or the water. And I don't have water there. It's grass. So as I see it, it's really not going to impede the wetlands, which I did educate myself just a little bit to know that they're there for a good reason, and I get that, but I don't see how this deck is going to cause any disruption in the property itself.
Okay.
As well as the Bakers or the Broussards, who now live in number 13. They've had it since 2019, and the house in 15 has a little deck as well that's probably in the wetlands or on the buffer, and there's been no problems with the wetlands.
Okay.
Do you believe they were put in when the condos were built?
The one on 15, I do believe was.
Okay.
The one on 13, the people who had bought 13 first, the Merrills, had a small deck with stairs going down, as you can see in the picture. And Ralph Merrill said to me, I don't know why I ever did that, it's too small. So the next owner, the Broussards, the Bakers came along and they said, boy, you really can't do anything out there, so they got the permit and added a, small deck. And so,
Did you already say what year that was?
2019.
2019, okay.
Yep. So, really, there's, I don't see why there is an issue based on, as evidenced by 2 other decks, no issues with the wetlands. The wetlands are wonderful, the little animals are there, whatever, turtles and things like that, and birds, and we don't touch the wetlands.
So for this commission, we do not approve or deny your ability to put on a deck. Our job is to essentially provide guidance to the zoning board to figure out if we feel that there is a wetlands issue or not. And so that's really what our charge is here tonight. To help us support that, right there is Johnston Circle. Can you just, which house is
So-
yours?
So this is 15 and unattached to 13, so it's right here.
Okay, so you're the top one, you're right where that
Correct.
hand is? Okay. And then which one in the picture has the deck right next to it? Is that the smaller one? And then
So it's actually part of the attached condo?
and then Joan, the wet area that's within 75 feet, I'm assuming is back here somewhere?
That's all.
On the map,
Let's
the
take a look.
wetland line they
You
have.
have a lawn cleared through here, right, according to the picture?
Yeah, yes,
Yes.
and all of this is lawn.
Here's
You
the
know, the
75,
overhang of the
75. There,
It's
here's the
grown
75, the
tremendously
dotted,
in
and
the
there,
last
the
I've
building's
been
Looks like
all
bittersweet.
Okay.
It just keeps coming out and coming out and coming out at you, but there's a very large lawn area.
It
there.
looks like it's bittersweet. That if you looked at those drawings, it looks like there's
Some of it is.
knotweed and
Some of it is.
bittersweet and invasive.
Uh,
Did you see that?
yeah, so Joan, do you,
this stuff in
yeah,
here.
do you see any issue here?
No, we don't.
Yeah, the lawn looks like it extends more than 12 feet beyond.
The lawn is at least between me and where the brush starts, about 35 feet.
How big is the deck that you wanna put on?
12 by 12.
Sorry, say it again?
12 feet by 12 feet.
Okay.
I'll just
So
open
that
it
would
up.
extend 10 feet into the 75-foot building setback, but not into the 50-foot non-disturbance area.
Right.
So there's a 50, from the wetlands to 50 feet out, we don't want them to disturb, because that's the buffer for the wetlands.
Okay, so the house is right on the,
The house is right on the 75-foot setback.
so, but she's cleaned an area.
No,
No, no,
No, they haven't, the people who built it and maintain it, they don't do anything with this. They have people that come in.
they have
Yeah.
grass.
Somebody maintains that area.
Right,
Yeah.
Correct.
So there'd be no clearing of trees or anything?
Right.
It's
Nothing
an
with
open
Well,
it.
that's what
right
I,
now.
just,
It would be going into this green, lush
Okay.
looking green. It couldn't possibly be during this drought.
Yeah.
so,
So,
Are you entertaining motions?
wait a minute, Michael wants to say.
Go around.
I'm sorry. So, I'm looking at the criteria for granting a special exception that the zoning board would be looking at. So the things that, the burden is basically on the applicant, to furnish, data as to what's reasonably necessary. And, economic advantage is not, alone is not a reason for granting a special exception. But you have to show certain things like the proposed use or construction shall be constructed in such a way it does not unduly restrict the flow of water. That it has to be shown that the proposed use is not in conflict with any and all the purposes or intentions listed in the ordinance, the wetland ordinance. C, the use or activity proposed and its attendant impacts cannot reasonably be avoided. There was the least damaging route and methodology have been selected, which is being proposed as the best practical alternative available. Reasonable and acceptable impact mitigation measures have been incorporated where necessary and appropriate to minimize wetland loss or degradation. No significant impact on aquatic habitat, rare or endangered species are listed by the state of New Hampshire or federal government will result. Adequate erosion and sedimentation control methods appropriate to the use are incorporated or as detailed in the current recognized best management practices for stormwater management and erosion sedimentation control handbook. And finally, that the state wetland permits as required are obtained. So those are the things that I think the zoning board is gonna just be looking
I
at.
have that whole application right in front of me.
So
All
just,
filled in.
Good.
so that, just you have an understanding of what the criteria.
Correct, I do.
Okay, so I'm gonna open it up to the board. Do you have any further questions, Mr. Croto?
I do not.
I do not know.
I do
Diane?
not.
No.
I'll entertain it. Well, let me just make a couple statements just to make sure I'm clear. So the building backs up to the 75-foot setback, pretty much right on the edge of the building.
It extends into the 75-foot setback.
The building
The
does?
building does?
No, excuse me,
The
the
deck
building.
will.
The deck will. The building is on the, right, you're correct,
But it does not, it will not impact the 50-foot non-disturb zone.
correct.
The area right that she shows via the pictures is currently grass.
Right.
So according to anybody on the board have any issue with this at all? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to recommend to the zoning board of adjustment that Ms. Wise can put on the 12-by-12 deck with appropriate, supporting columns that do not further disturb the area other than the supporting columns, and, that we do not see a impact to the 50-foot setback.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion by Joan, seconded by Diane. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All abstain, motion carries 6-0-0. So what we will do next is we will send a letter over to the zoning board, telling them that we have no issues from our end, and then that information will be included in their packet when you go through the process with them.
Okay.
I would say, like you did here, I think the photos that you provided and the maps that you were provided were excellent, and it'll help you out when you get to the zoning board.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate
Let me
it.
just write down the case numbers. So we have that for the letter.
Joni, you gonna write this letter?
I wasn't planning on it.
You were?
No, I was not.
You was,
I
you were
can do
not?
it.
Okay. You'll do
Okay,
it.
so
Yeah.
there's
Okay.
all your paperwork back.
Okay.
Do we want copies of that for our,
Well, I have the case number.
okay.
You need a copy of the letter?
Can I see that letter
Take a
for just a
picture.
second?
Take
Do
a
a quick-
picture of it.
Scan of it.
Keep it if you need it, I have another copy.
All right, I'll take it, thank you.
It is, thank you
Yeah.
very much. Do we want pictures of that too?
I'm good with this, just to
Alright,
have
alright.
the case number on there.
Okay.
Thanks
All
very
right,
much.
that's it.
Well, thank you for
Thank you for
having
coming
me and
in.
for giving me all 5.
Um,
Take care.
Good luck with your deck.
Is that all your your things there?
So I did forget to do one thing, I need to appoint Matt as a full member of the board, and probably at the next commission meeting, we should make a motion to make you a full member of the board. You're technically an alternate. Do you
Okay.
accept this challenge?
Yes.
Okay,
So, is that?
Good job.
yeah,
So should it be 5?
yeah, let's make it 5-0-0, because I didn't appoint you before the vote, so we'll make
Okay.
the vote 5-0-0. Unless we revote.
I think we're good with
All
that.
right, we're
Okay,
good.
We're good.
So we're gonna move up in the agenda. We have new business, but we'll have NRPC come up first. And so that in the interest of time, we can get you out of here.
Matt, I gave you a copy of this that she's presenting right now. It's to your right.
Oh, yeah, I've
Yeah,
got
got
it
it.
online too.
Yeah, so
Oh, you
there's
got it online,
5
then I'll take it back,
copies,
'cause I don't have
so
a laptop.
might have to share a
Okay.
copy.
Okay. I had her print 5 copies.
Yes, it's fine.
I read it online.
Perfect.
All right, so go ahead, introduce yourself.
All right, so Camille Pattison, the Assistant Director at the Nashua Regional Planning Commission. I think this is the 3rd time we've probably been before you. Hopefully we can get any final comments you have and, get the plan wrapped up for you. So let me just recap kind of how we got, to where we are now. I think we came originally in June. I've met with Joan twice after meetings, so just make sure, we've got the feedback that you have discussed, especially the last round of comments. When I met with Joan was early August, so it must have been right after your August meeting. So the general feedback was, it was lengthy, it was too long, so we've changed the talents to, it'll be your NRIs, your natural resources inventory, as well as the conservation plan. Taking that into consideration, if you look on this, the bulk of the plan is the first 19 pages, right? That's got your executive summary in it. It has the other 2 sections that were in here. So if we kind of glance through, table of contents is at the beginning. The executive summary is on page 7. It's pretty succinct, it's 2 pages. We have an introduction on page 9, and then the goals and objectives are on page 10 and 11. And then we've got the priorities for natural resource management. So your recommendations for your action plan go through page 19. And essentially what's gonna serve as your NRI is all the maps and associated tables that are the bulk of the plan, that are page 20 all the way to 97. So, there you've got your inventory, all the data's there, but I think this is more useful now because you don't have to weed through, 100 pages to see the more salient information. I did also incorporate in the land preservation strategy, just that I know it's draft version, but I did try to go in, many things were in there, but there definitely were some things that weren't, so any places where I could take that and incorporate it in to be consistent, I've done that. I've incorporated in, all the comments that I've gotten so far, so I think if there are, this is your opportunity to make sure that this works for the commission and there aren't other things that you wanna have in there. I mean, you can always, mend it over time, but you wanna have a decent plan going out of it from here.
It's exciting to have a NRI all in one place. I do have one
Yeah.
small edit.
Yep.
Under, executive summary, page 8, I think that's still in, no, is that, it's anyway, it's page 8. Is that under recommendations?
No, I've got the executive summary, that is page 8.
Okay. So under education by the Conservation Commission.
Yeah.
The first bullet says, provide materials on the town website and in printed form on the following topics: water resources, non-point pollution, designation and management of town forest and smaller forested areas, tree retention, septic systems, and I wanna add species information, animal species information. I had those cards, which I forgot to bring
Yeah.
in. But
Animal,
we could,
do you wanna call them animal species cards, animal species information?
information, yeah, because I have,
Species information, I have to look at that.
I have the cards up, put it by Fish and Game, and then I also have, I think I don't know if they're, I think it's by Fish and Game. Grasslands, wetlands, but I think that's pretty much covered under, well, maybe it's not. There's some wetlands, floodplains, grasslands, all different types of, habitat, basically.
So why don't we call them, habitat information cards?
Okay.
Would that work? Does that cover it?
Well, I have species information cards, and I have, habitat pamphlets,
Okay. Got it.
Charger. on my phone.
That'd be great.
No.
So habitat species, or do you want animal species
Animal species
cards? Got it. Okay.
cards.
One other thing to note, on, page 7 is the executive summary. We did make a change in here based on, Joan's suggestion to say establish relationships with other conservation commissions through the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions and attending other towns' conservation commissions meetings and routine regional meetings. There was one more place, I'm actually gonna make that consistent after I read through this. On page 11, I'm gonna add that in just to be consistent with what's in the executive summary. But I think it's the general point.
Right, we had talked about that at, the last meeting, I believe. I wonder if we should say, future routine regional meetings, because there aren't regional meetings now.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe we can get them started up. That's all I had for right now.
I provided all my comments to Joan, and then I read through at least the first 10 pages, and it seems that pretty much everything was in there.
Good.
The only comment that I had was, is there, and I asked this of Joan, and I don't know if it got relayed, but is there anything that this commission should be doing that we're not? You know, kind of like doing a benchmarking of this commission versus other similar commissions. Are there any trends out there? Is there anything that we're not doing that other folks are, or
Yep.
vice versa? And I think something to that effect. It doesn't have to be, you know, anything lengthy, but if there are just a few, if you can tell us from NRPC's perspective, what's going on out there in the region, how, you know, what are trends in conservation across a region and maybe across the United States, and if there's anything that we should be doing that, or should be looking at that we're not looking at, I think that would be valuable to include in the plan.
Yeah, let me do a little research on that. Nothing comes to mind on top of my head, but let me see what else is
You know,
going
I'm
on.
talking about if you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
a bullet
Yep.
list of three or four things, I
We
wouldn't
have
mind
goals.
seeing that.
Yeah, we have 6 goals.
So trends,
7th goal or something.
so trends kind of regionally, at the state level, and nationally.
Like, is there a trend nowadays to, I've been seeing other commissions, when they're looking to get funds to purchase land, instead of going to town meeting to get money, they might go for a bond, you know, to get money, you know, or, you know, things like that.
Yep, that's a really good question. I'll look into that and see.
Are commissions looking toward land trusts in this, you know, region to maybe help support conserving properties? I'm just talking
Yeah.
theoretical.
I think, yeah, and I think that is a good point. I think, yes, the answer to that one is definitely yes, with, like SPNF, and I think they tend to be more localized, you know, at the regional level or more local, but that is a good point.
And
The
that was
town,
really the
though-
only comment that I had.
What land trust has the town partnered with in the past?
Just
Very.
recently, just like within the past week or two, the Scotticoag Conservancy has added Litchfield, Hudson, and Pelham, I believe.
Is that newly established?
The Conservancy
No.
is not, they've been there around for 20 years, but they had just added, they're from the Piscataquag River, the Sohegan River, and now picking up the Merrimack River. So Litchfield, Hudson, Pelham,
Monadnock Land Trust, used to be in charge of some of the property here, and they sold off to Agrarian. So
Okay,
they currently are doing business in
Yep.
town. They
but
currently
Monadnock Land Trust was a very small organization out of Wilton. They
right,
were not accredited, I don't believe, Land Trust, they were just a,
But Agrarian is.
Okay.
Agrarian's a much larger.
yeah, I can look into that and see if there's something else that you can just put in here that'd be salient and relevant.
Okay. How do you wanna handle this, Joan?
well, do you wanna put, the trending idea into this, and then that would be the final? So
Yeah.
Just show us that one little section that you're adding, and then that would really wrap up the final
Right, I
document.
mean, at this point, like, our contract wraps up on the 16th, so, you know, we gave it just a little bit of time.
Maybe we make a motion to adopt this with,
That amendment,
with changes?
That's probably your best bet.
I'm gonna go around the room. Mr. Croto, anything?
I have nothing. I'm good.
Joan?
no, I've met with Camille a couple of times, and we work well together, and I think
Okay.
everything's in there.
Diane?
I am all for going forward.
Harry?
No, looks good to me.
Matt, anything?
No.
Okay, so I guess I'll entertain a motion.
For,
I guess Joan will have to entertain a motion to accept or to,
Yeah, so I'll make a
let's
motion.
see, adopt is the word.
adopt.
It says adopted in the plan. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to adopt the Litchfield Conservation Commission, or excuse me, I'm gonna entertain a motion to adopt the Town of Litchfield Natural Resources Inventory and Conservation Plan developed by the Nashua Regional Planning Commission.
Prepared for, right, you said prepared for Litchfield Conservation Commission.
To include amendments as discussed at this table. I think that's it.
So moved.
So
Second.
So we got a motion by Joan, seconded by Diane. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, all those abstained, motion passes 6-0-0.
So the adopted date would be today?
It would be today, it
Or
would be,
Today?
I think today. And then when I get the changes incorporated, I mean, we have not very long, so I'll do that
Okay.
shortly. Get that back to you, and then you've got that, you can post it on your website, we'll probably post it on our website, and we can go from
Great.
there.
okay.
Thank you very much.
Um,
Enjoy your day.
Definitely keep interaction, Joan's the project manager on this project,
Nice job, Joe.
so final goes to Joan and then you can pass it around from there.
Yeah, so I'll touch base with Joan, if you want hard copies, we can do
Okay,
that too.
great, thank you.
Great job. Thank
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, thank you for your
Patience.
assistance and your help and all the work
And
you've done.
patience.
Yeah. It's tough when you only meet once a month, you know?
It is tough, yeah, and, you know, for a long time, this wasn't brought up, you know.
Yep.
Take care.
Joan
Thank
kept
you.
her finger on the.
All right, next on the agenda, new business, item A. Sorry, Diane. Conservation Commission budget. My computer battery died, and I guess I did not bring my cord with me, so I don't have it on me. But I submitted a draft budget to Karen White and to the Board of Selectmen for approximately, don't quote me on this, about $4,200. That includes pretty much everything we had let me back up a second. So I submitted the budget for about $4,200. Last year, our approved budget was about $2,100, so we increased it by about $1,900. The increase of the $1,900 was primarily due to added in some mileage, added in the software maintenance fee that we have to pay every year, the GIS software. We didn't pay that this year, and it timed out on us. And then I included the rest of the funds basically were associated with land maintenance, and that's one that they seem to zero out every single year. So we're gonna try this year to get somewhere in the vicinity of $1,900 for land maintenance, which would cover gas, which would cover tuning up the lawnmower, which would cover any signs or things like that that need to be made, and so on. We did include the $600 for the fishing derby.
What about maintenance on the tractor? Hopefully we don't need any, do we have a maintenance agreement on that?
We don't have a maintenance agreement. We do have a warranty, but we will have to,
Next
after like
year.
50 hours, you have to have it maintained, and that might cost a couple $100. So the extra 1,900 that is in there above and beyond last year would cover that.
Okay.
The next thing that we would have to do is I have to go to the Board of Selectmen and present it, and then we'll have to go to the Budget Committee to present it. And in previous years, they've pretty much zeroed out that land maintenance line, and they're asking us to take it from the Conservation Fund, but we're gonna try again this year to,
We didn't go to fight it either. We did not go.
The year before, Matt and I went, and
It didn't go well, so last year we didn't go at all.
so do you have the dates yet for Board of Selectmen or budget? Budget's not starting till September 22nd to meet every week.
yeah, I don't have a date yet.
Okay. I think, Troy did send the dates. I'll have to look that up, and I'm just gonna bring my computer.
Now, Jason,
Yes,
that 4,200, there was a email or something that Troy had sent out on,
That was the dates. He sent the dates out, and then I
I
don't know
think
if
it
he
was
sent
for
the budget.
2023. I mean, the reason I'm bringing it up is that $4,200 kind of sticks in my mind, me seeing it, and because,
That's after Jason amended it.
pardon?
That was probably after Jason amended it. I don't think Troy wouldn't have upped it by that much.
Okay. Does that also in the budget include the fact that we're having the minutes?
so that's a good point. The budget for the minutes actually comes out of the Board of Selectmen budget, so they're
Oh.
adding that, the minute taker,
Oh,
to the
okay.
Board of
I didn't-
Selectmen
I
budget,
didn't
so it
know.
doesn't come out of our
Yeah.
budget.
Just this year, just this one year, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I
Couple
said,
more
that
months.
number kind of sticks in my mind, cause I did see it on an email from Troy. And the Recreation Committee had it like just a little bit higher than we did, as far as 4,200.
We get the budget estimate directly from the minute taker source.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just curious, that's all.
Matt, could you go, are you on the portal site for the
Yeah, yeah.
meeting?
Yep.
Could you scroll down to the bottom? And I think I have on there, I actually added in the budget to the bottom of that portal.
I
know
don't see
if
a
you have
budget.
it, Michael.
Did they publish it?
Am I not looking in the right, I see the September agenda up top and then the
Yeah,
land
and scroll down to the
preservation
bottom. Oh, I
strategy.
might have not published it.
I don't think you
No.
did, Jason. I only have, the last thing that was published here is the land preservation
All
strategy.
right, I might have not published it. If you actually, hold on a second, I just wanna make sure I'm using the right things here. Go up to home. And then scroll down to budgets, budget and finance, right
Oh,
there.
there we go. That was-
It should have been added to the, and then that one right there in the middle, the picture right in the middle. Double click that. So if you could read, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, there he's got it right here, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I found it.
Sorry
Jason.
about this, this is what happens when your computer dies on you. So where we're at, This is the older one. Matt, would you mind reading the line items in there?
Yeah,
On the yellow line?
Yeah, so the property management,
Yep.
so there's, 1950 slated for that, 950 for, equipment maintenance, fuel, et cetera. And then $1,000 for paint, wood, supplies, bridge repair, kiosk repair, landscaping.
And that's the total of the 1950.
Then there's, CC dues and subscriptions for $720.
That's our yearly subscriptions and
Dues.
fees.
You don't need that breakdown for that
Nope.
one. And then we have, to CC publications, $50.
That's the same as last year.
General supplies, $600, $100 increase from last year. And then, mileage and tools, $140, up $90 from last year.
That's the mileage and tolls. We had $50 in there. That's one trip to Concord or one trip to Nashua and back, and
Yeah,
we use our gas money.
which this year is even more important.
And,
We're paying for gas.
seminars and annual meeting, $275, same as last year, or this current year. And then youth fishing, derby and programs, $700. We had $650 for 2022. And the total is, $4,435.
Okay. And then last year, the total, well, I think was
2016.
2,000. So
Do
put
we
that
have
in?
a figure of what we've actually spent this year? 'Cause that would be interesting. That would be important for us to have when we go
Well,
to the
except
budget
you go
committee.
early to the budget committee and you still have an annual meeting to get through in November.
We should have what we've spent
Right.
up to now, anyway,
Tell them what,
so that we can say that we've actually gone over by this amount, because we know we've had to dip.
We have I get sent a budget summary every single week, and so we'll bring that up
Yeah.
at the meeting. But
Yep.
as of right now, it looks like we're gonna be over on our budget, or right on it. We don't have any room to move at all.
Never.
There's
Right.
no room to move.
No, without going into that money that should be being put away strictly to buy land, which is what that money
Okay,
is
so
for.
the total really is 44,
35.
35.
right,
And for the minute taker, I'll share this out on the portal, and you'll be able to see the actual numbers. All right, so that's that. Any other comments on that?
if you could email us the dates, and I'll look for the, Troy email, he did send the Board of Selectmen dates, but we don't know when the budget committee is.
Okay, trail improvements. This was, I put this on here. There's a couple things I've been thinking about after visiting Moores Falls a few times this month, and the muster field across from the old town hall. One thing I would like to throw out there, and of course, I can't bring my map up on the screen, but is the addition of a little connecting trail at Moores Falls. And the connecting trail, everybody know the little trail spur that goes down to the river by St. Francis?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Would connect that section that goes down to the river back up with the rail line farther down toward the farm field that's south.
to the south.
So away from the school.
Yeah, it would make a
It'd
bigger,
It'd be south on our,
make a bigger loop. It'll allow you to
Well,
make
there's-
like a 1 point.
It would be
3
nice to
mile.
move that away from the entrance.
no, we wouldn't be
and exit.
moving it from the school, there's,
You would though. You'd be going past it.
okay, you're talking about coming down here, there's a loop now to go towards the river, and then when you get to the little spur that goes down to where Matt would always clean up,
Yep,
you're talking about going south there.
right.
South along the bank, and then,
Not necessarily along the bank.
there's two gullies.
We'd connect it before the gully.
Okay, cause there's a
Those
gully
gullies
at the
are
property
huge.
line, and there's a gully further back where the sinkhole is.
yeah, there's that big gully, if you don't go down the spur line and you head toward,
No, you're going north now.
We're
There's a
going
big
south
gully.
of-
no, heading
Pass.
south toward St. Francis, where you can see the buildings.
Well, that's east, you're going, okay, so,
Right.
I wish we had the, okay, so here's the,
We're
you come
spoiled
down
'cause
from
we
the
never had
kiosk, you get down to the trolley track, okay? And you can go around this way, I was just there today. You can go around this way, and you can go along the river, and then you cut up, and the spur goes down this way.
Yes,
And then, so you're talking about coming along, like this one does, along the top and loop back onto
Yep.
the trolley track like that.
somewhere in there. You know where the spur goes down and it bangs a right to go down to the river?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of bangs a little bit of a right to go
Yeah.
down to the river. We would just kind of tail off to the left. That would bring you back up south, you know, near that gully,
North of the, north of the
north of the gully.
gully,
Yep.
where the sinkhole is.
Yep,
That's south of St. Francis.
You're west of St. Francis.
just south of St. Francis.
You're south and west.
South, yeah, you're south. You're south.
You're nowhere near St. Francis is right here.
Which is right across from it right now. It is directly across
So
from
it
it.
wouldn't go near the bottom line is that the gully that's there and the sinkhole, this would not go near,
That would be
Right.
north of the sinkhole, yeah. And then
Here's
loop
what-
it up.
whatever it is.
Here's what I'll do for next meeting, when I get my battery back, which I thought I charged this thing for about an hour before, but I don't know, I must not have plugged it in. I'll talk about this at the next meeting and I'll put dots on the map and that way we're not going back and forth
Okay.
on what's
Okay.
where. Make it easy. We wouldn't do it until after next month anyway, if we got approved, so we can just let
Right,
a
and
few
then
leaves
you wait
fall off
once
the
the
tree.
leaves come down, it'd be a whole lot easier.
All right, old business, NRPC plan, we took care of that. Land preservation strategy adoption. Okay, so the second plan that we have been discussing over the past few months is the land preservation strategy. Do you have a copy of it, Michael?
I do, I actually have.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Here.
you've got the same one.
The wrong one.
I made changes based on, the comments made at the last meeting. And I don't know if anybody got a chance to read through it again. This is only 11 pages, not 100.
I thought I brought it.
And I'd like to move toward adoption of this.
What changes did you make? Because it was pretty good. What changes did you make, do you recall? Oh, I know.
I added in something about the properties protect habitat, native species, and support the New Hampshire Wildlife Action Plan. I added that on the list based on guidance provided at the last meeting. And then you had a couple other comments, and I addressed both of them.
Okay.
The only thing that we're actually missing from this,
And you got that email I sent you about the numbers?
I gotta plug the number of acres in
Oh,
there,
okay.
and then.
And
the
then you
number
could
of
match it up
properties.
too with what she had, to see if it jives with the number I gave you the other day
Okay,
from March.
so the only thing I really have to plug in here is the number of acres we currently have and the number of properties, and that's just kind of for informational purposes only. Joan, the other thing that you had me do is change this map around, and you had me add in Grassy Pond and put an asterisk and say managed by others.
Right, right.
So again, the purpose of this plan is different than the plan provided by NRPC. This one is meant to provide guidance on how we may try to purchase a property or preserve a property and how we prioritize those. So if we're, happen to be looking at 3 or 4 of these things at the same time, or a handful of them over 5 years, we can come to this strategy right here, and this gives us a little bit of guidance on how we can prioritize those. And the meat of it gets down to the section 9, which we discussed at the last meeting, which I kind of having them fall into three different buckets. So if we have multiple pieces of property coming up at the same time, it would have a higher weight if it was along Route 3A, if it was along the river, if it was in a historic area, or if it was adjacent or near an existing conserved property. That would have a higher weight than something that was out in the middle of nowhere and wasn't next to any other property that we own. Also would have on the number 2 on the list, it would also carry a higher weight if it protected natural resources like wetlands or protected historic resources, or if it was farmland, or if it protects town character, protects waterway, would carry a higher weight than if the property doesn't support those, it doesn't meet those criteria. And the more criteria that you meet, the higher the kind of, virtual score would be. And so that's really kind of the bottom line. And my thinking was if this can be amended at any time, my thinking was if we can adopt this, it can make the final changes to it, and then we would present this to the Board of Selectmen and also bring it to, with us to the Budget Committee meeting.
Good idea.
I have a question. On page, where it says, I actually read it,
Oh, nice.
goal 4.
What section are you on there?
Yeah, it says
Up on the
increase,
Section
Rec-
2, up at the top there. where
Section
does it say?
2.
yeah, section 2, I'm sorry.
That's-
Goal 4. Now, when you say passive recreational opportunities, roughly what do you have in mind? I know hiking is one of them.
Passive recreational opportunities are fishing, are non-baseball, basketball, things like that. Those
Okay.
are more active. Passive is more like fishing,
Bird
hiking,
watching.
bird watching,
Stuff like that.
things like that.
Non-organized sports.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good,
Okay.
non-organized sports. Could you put page numbers on? I know you have sections, but
Yep.
could you put page numbers?
Joan loves page
I
numbers.
like page numbers.
Okay.
So are you looking for a motion? Are you entertaining motions, Mr. Chairman, to accept this with the 2 changes, which is the number of acres and number of properties,
And adding page numbers.
and adding page numbers with those 3 changes? You're looking for an adoption?
I am, and we'll wait for Mr. Hoffman to return.
Yeah.
On goal 4, instead of using the word passive, can we use non-organized?
No,
Why?
I think passive is the term.
passive
it?
is the term, is the
All right,
widely used term.
no, just a question.
So that'd be easier, I get it.
I'll go around the room. Anything, Mr. Croto?
No, I think this looks great. Just so you know, at the last CIP meeting, I did forward this document to members of that committee. So they do are looking at it or reviewing it. So that the meeting that we're going to have on September 8th, we're going to have the department heads and committees here. So just letting you know that the committee I basically sent the document to the committee so they can review it, so.
And will that help with the warrant articles looking for the,
Well, I think that's why, because I know Jason said he had an interest in coming to the meeting and to talk about the plan for the CIP.
September 8th meeting,
Yes.
better check that date.
Well, it's at 6 o'clock. Now, I don't know, does the zoning board meet at 7?
There's a special zoning board meeting September 8th, I think at 7.
Okay, so I don't, we're meeting at 6, so I don't know if we're gonna be there before them, so.
you may have to wait. Mike's get kind of sad.
Fire station is fully fit up with video
Oh, it is, they
technology.
don't have to portable it all in?
I believe it's fully set up right now. You don't have to do the portable stuff anymore. All right, so Mike, anything else, Michael?
But I have nothing else, I think.
Joan, anything else?
No, good job.
Diane, anything?
Nope.
Harry?
No?
Matt?
No.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we take the town of Litchfield land preservation strategy with some
Changes to section 3.
changes,
Section 3,
pardon,
to section 3.
to section 3 and approve it.
Okay, we have a motion by Harry.
can we have discussion that we add the numbers to that motion?
The
Well,
numbers.
isn't section 3 adding? the
It
making-
adds the acres and the number of properties, but it does not add
As
the
long as
page
you say
numbers.
with, with modifications,
With
Okay.
modifications.
All right,
would be good, and I'll make sure I've got all those.
then I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion by Harry, we've got seconded by Diane. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 6-0-0. So what I'll do is I'll make those adjustments, and then I'll mark it as final.
Look at
I'll
that.
put the approved date on here, and I'll put it up on the portal, then we'll print off, I think, Joan, you said you wanted to print off a couple copies and hang one in town hall somewhere.
Yep.
And then at some point in time, I'll go to the Board of Selectmen and we'll just present it so that we can, fill them in on what we're doing. Okay, so that's that. Let's see. Item C, land grant opportunity. This is me as well. So,
I saw your email where we're in round 3, or,
right, we're
we
in,
didn't get shut out, let's put it that way.
we didn't get shut down. So we were looking at going after a grant to purchase a piece of property.
And this is the Land and Water Conservation Fund.
This is
grant.
the Land and Water Conservation Fund, that's managed by the state, but the funds come through the federal government. We have identified a piece of property, I think everybody here knows what piece of property that is, that we would potentially like to purchase using these funds. I actually talked to the landowner this week, and she said she is on board with what we're doing. We submitted a intent to file a grant application several months ago. We got notified in early August that we passed through that first hurdle, which means that's just kind of the gut check. Is the project feasible, and so on and so forth. And then we were invited to attend, well, I shouldn't say invited, but we had to attend a mandatory 3-hour session with the state to go over what the grant was about and the process to actually fill out the grant application. I've got some notes here that I'll go through. But the funding is, the grants are awarded for between a low of $35,000 to a max of $500,000 per grant. The grant is a 50% match grant, so if we got $200,000, we would have to kick in $200,000. That $200,000 on our end can be in-kind funding, so if we get somebody in town to help out with the parking lot or to help out with buying wood to build bridges or things like that, if that total of that labor comes up to $25,000, that's part of that can be part of our 50% match. The due date for the application is December 16th. So we've got 3 months, right? September, October, no, 3 months. And they typically will approve it sometime in February. You'll get notification either way sometimes in February, but it might take a few months after that to get the final paperwork done. In total, they average about $2.7 million worth of grant funds get allocated annually, and about 60% goes to the towns and about 40% goes to the state. So I can't do my math on that, but 6 times 3 is 18, so we're probably talking about somewhere in the vicinity of 1.5 million would go to the towns, and the rest would go to the state, so.
So it just isn't one grant, it sounds like it's,
Yeah,
bunch
many towns can apply. It's very, it's a very, what's the word?
Competitive?
Competitive, thank
Yeah.
you. Grant round.
There were, so
Are we applying for a certain amount, or,
we haven't figured that out yet.
Figure it
okay,
out.
Yeah, we
that's
haven't
gonna be
figured-
part of the final?
Does it have to be to a specific property, or is it just
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And the property can actually be, what the person from the state told me is, we have a piece of property that we're looking to purchase, and we happen to have a piece of property right next door, the grant can be for those two combined. So the grant is not actually completely or totally used to purchase the property, but it is used to acquire land and provide recreational access to it. So that's the kicker, is we have to provide some sort of access to this property. We would have to draw up a map and say, we have a parking lot here, we're gonna have a trail in here, there's gonna be a couple of benches over here, and this is how it connects things together. And so that's gonna be the, you know, the big thing for us, is we actually have to draw like a master plan up of this property to show it as, being able to be used for passive recreational purposes.
And you have to have a budget that goes along, you know, a viable budget that goes along with the application.
Yes.
Can't just pick a number like, I want $1 million.
We do have to get, if we decide to move forward, and I think we'd probably have to decide by next month, we do have to get what they call a yellow book appraisal on the property, which is an official appraisal, and then we have to get a second yellow book, we have to get somebody to look at the yellow book appraisal and get a second set of eyes of it from another appraiser to
Verify.
make sure that
Yeah.
everything is in order.
And
Do we have
from
to
what
pay for the appraisals, or?
We have to pay for
So we can get the money back. If we get the grant, we can build the money for the appraisal in the grant. And we can get that money back.
And we were hearing it's a 3-month process, is that correct, John?
It's a 3-month process just to get
To get them there to look at it.
No, just to get them to, yeah, just to get them willing to say they'll do it, then it's another 3 months before you get anything.
So we'll have to make a,
Appraisers are straight out right now.
okay.
So is this yellow book, this is the first time I've heard that phrase, yellow book appraisal.
Well, it's, I think somebody said they didn't exactly know what the yellow, somebody else I was talking to, but the list that LWCF sent out had highlighted people that they recommended for the yellow book appraisal, right?
So.
They did, yep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
that's
See if I
different
can
than
find my-
that's
Joan,
a
you
phrase
said
we haven't heard.
3-month process?
It's like a 6-month
6-month
process. Because everybody, all the appraisers are, you have to find an appraiser who understands what you're looking at as far as the property, and so you may not even get them to sign on for 3 months. First you have to put out a
Wow,
bid process.
6 months would take us
Yeah.
outside of the window.
Well, you have to have the appraisals not with the application, do you, or do you?
I believe you do have to have the appraisal with the application. So I'll check with the
Check with
state
them,
on
because
that.
they know the
That
situation
there's a
with
backlog,
appraisers.
yeah. It's
I did ask that question, and he said, you need to have an appraisal, so I would assume if we're purchasing property,
Oh, you
that
have to
we've
have
gotta
appraisal
have
anyway.
good backup on the
Oh, yeah.
price of the
Yeah.
property.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah,
I
that's
can
we need
do,
the definition of that yellow book.
I can call up a couple of these appraisal companies and just see what the wait time is, and, it might be a non-starter for us if we find out
Yeah.
it's gonna take 8 months to get an appraisal on the property. I can then call the state and say, hey, we can't get an appraisal for 6 to 8 months.
And we won't be the only ones saying that.
Right.
Some people do use this for park development, so they're actually using they actually have, like, if you wanna
They
put
have
tennis courts
land,
on, onto an you can actually use those funds. You could have a piece of land and just build something on it.
Improvements.
Yep.
We said improvements.
So you said that the application had to go in by December?
December 16th.
December
Well, we'll get it,
16th.
so you'll get us the answer on that, so we can move forward from that.
Well,
We
yeah,
don't know,
even if we got lucky and got 3 months,
we don't
which
know,
would be the best thing, that would be November.
maybe.
Wow.
But we might get an extension on,
But maybe we should say we're going to do the appraisal and then try and round up an appraiser now,
Yeah,
not wait another.
I think we need an appraisal
On that
anyway.
anyway,
We need an
yeah.
appraisal anyway.
If you
because
had
we're
an
building-
appraisal, the property owner did an appraisal that was
crazy.
not, I don't think correct.
I think the yellow book appraisals, it sounds like they're
It's a
used
federal,
to.
so they know they're working with a federal grant.
Okay. So they're used to looking at properties in a specific way for conservation purposes, taking into account wetlands and what could be developed
hope
on
so,
there, I'm
yeah.
assuming.
They may be able to give us some assistance in that.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'll do that. I'll make a couple of calls. I'll call the guy from the state as well. Diane, we wouldn't, you mentioned an extension. We wouldn't get an extension on grant
Appraisal.
application.
No, but on the appraisal,
It's possible that
as a
we could.
portion of it due to the situation that everyone is in right now for those.
Yep.
So, I mean, really, if you already have an
waiver, that would
appraisal,
be like
a waiver,
right.
yeah. But it would definitely be, somebody who already had the appraisal in hand would definitely be ahead of us in that process.
And like you said, some people don't need appraisal, they have property they own already, they're looking to put recreation sources.
Trying to improve the current,
We would also have to talk to our local land surveyor, and they would wanna get a good land survey of the property, which there should be one on record already, cause they did that subdivision
Oh, yeah, I think, yeah.
a few years back. Other than that, it did look like putting the application in was a pretty heavy lift.
Yep, it sure is.
There was, they took 3 hours going through the website, showing you how to apply for the grant. So it's not like a one-pager with a bunch of pictures or anything like that. There's a lot of documentation, a lot of backup. My thinking is that when I was at the meeting, there were maybe 2 or 3 other communities on the call with us.
Oh, on the call.
And that was the mandatory meeting that everybody had to be
but
at.
wasn't that one of a couple?
Only 2,
One or
I
two
think.
meetings?
Yeah, the 2 was the day the day of, they had an in-person one.
So we have a shot, the problem's gonna be, and it's been with us since we looked at this property the first time, is getting that appraisal.
Well,
And it's gonna go
like you
forward
said,
with other
the
land.
application is a heavy lift. I have, paperwork when we started a year
The
ago.
last time, yeah.
And, it's substantial.
But here's the
One
thing,
more
if we
time.
know that
I'm
we can,
sorry.
What,
No, go finish what you're
if we
saying.
knew we could get the appraisal, then it would be worth doing that heavy lift. But if we know we're not gonna get the appraisal, then it's not, it's a lesson, I guess,
well,
if we wanna do
need to See
it.
if we can get a waiver, because we spoke to someone yesterday who, it was a grant due today, and he didn't have the appraisal yet.
Yeah.
Is it
John,
a
go ahead.
one-time grant process, or do they have the
No,
same
it's
funds
yearly.
Goes every year.
So even if we started
It depends
this
on the
year,
money
if we
they
missed
can
the
get.
date, we'd be able to leverage it for next year.
And then next year, we would be in position A, because we would already have all that other work done. And the more we look at that paperwork that we need for that grant, the better we'll get at it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So it's not wasted effort even if we
Right, you
miss
got
the
the
window
appraisal.
this year.
Right.
yep.
The
we
appraisal,
could
well, you
probably
have
take
to
part of
probably
what
have the
we learned.
appraisal
So,
within a
one
year.
more time, why does it take so long for the appraisal?
Because there's only, there's not that many of them to begin with.
Okay, so
And
it's
They're
a little
everybody-
bit,
backed up, like,
Everybody's backed up.
oh, okay, all right, I can understand that.
By the way, the money from this comes from offshore oil drilling, to the Land and Water Conservation Fund.
Oh.
For that.
Thank you. All right, anybody else?
So do
Yeah.
we wanna make a motion to do the appraisal, or find, or try and find
I would
someone?
say I
We don't know
will,
what the dollar amount is yet.
yeah, I'll call, I don't think we need a motion right
Okay.
now. I'll just call the appraisal companies and just see if they come back and if they laugh at me and say we need it by December 16th, then
You
we
won't
know
take
this
it
whole
personally.
thing is
We
either
have to wait
a
till
moot
next year.
point,
Yeah,
or we can call the state and say, hey,
yeah.
can we get you a ballpark in there, or something like that.
And can we do that by the overlook theory that you and I were talking about before, is that you could fit so many lots in there?
Yeah,
Like the
that's-
overview, that we could maybe use that as our,
I mean, we do have the municipal assessment of it, but that's,
okay.
The only other
everything we
thing,
can.
when I talked to the guy from the state, that when he visited, that he found that was kinda unique, that I think other towns didn't have, is that if we purchase this piece of property, and we have the piece of property right next to it, we could connect areas of town that are not currently connected. That's the goal, and we know there are wetlands in there, but we would have to put money in there to build 100 feet of low-lying bridge type of causeway to go across those wetlands. We would have to include that money in the grant. And he felt that it was, he wasn't giving me any inclination on whether we would get a grant or not, because he doesn't know what's
Right.
coming in. But he said it was kinda interesting that you got this part of town over here that nobody can get to. You can't get to the library, you got other conservation lands there, nobody can get there on a bike. and that this could be the connector between the two. And so we would have to play that up,
And that's
Big
something
time.
with CIP too, right?
and the master plan for the town would, would have to reference a lot of those, so. All right, I will, I'll take care of that, and we'll go there from next month. So I got two things I gotta do. I gotta write a letter,
Got it.
and I gotta call the appraisal company.
I need to talk to you about who not to call.
The old business, the next item, we'll move this to the next meeting, review of Google Sites, because my computer is down right now. But I'll just throw the question out there, have you been going on to the Google Sites at all to get the meeting agendas and things like that?
I tried it out yesterday,
And
so,
you got the
and that's why I brought the laptop in tonight.
You
so
got into it fine.
I got into it
And then
fine.
you
Yeah,
realize,
I've been able to
Okay.
do it. Well, I didn't
Have you,
see.
Harry?
Yeah,
then you
Excellent.
realize to print, you just go to that little pencil up in the corner.
Yeah.
Print.
Yeah, if you need that, but, that's the first one. Jay worked with me, last week and the week before,
Yep.
and taught me some of it. So that was the first one that I created with Jay's help, so hopefully I'm gonna be able to create those each month and just be able to put, like, we have correspondence in there and stuff. So everybody will be able to see everything that happens, and it will be stored there in that site.
Yeah, it's good. I think the planning,
Mhm.
you guys use that too as well.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
our,
Joan
Our
actually, I
own,
think, manages.
yeah.
Do you add correspondence to yours
You can.
that
yeah.
happens during the
We,
month?
we could, I don't think
Whatever
well,
get,
we
add-
do
we
add stuff, yeah, to the,
But
with
it's
the
by,
agenda,
di- it's by date, we run them by
Right.
date.
so letters and stuff, yeah.
So if everybody's in there, we can scratch this from the agenda, as long as folks can get in there, get to the agenda, go to any of the reports that we need. If it's working out for
Maybe
everybody.
just a quick overview of the homepage, how it's organized and stuff for
We can
searching
do
for
that
other stuff.
next month. If you, essentially, the short version is that all the documents that you can click on that meeting page that's there right now, the agenda, the plans, are all stored in that main Google Drive that you can get to from the homepage. And, but we can show that next
Yeah.
month.
We
You go
definitely
to the
should.
homepage and go through those folders, all the documents that you see on that portal page are in those folders somewhere. I set up the folder structure and they're
I think they're good.
relatively, they, self-explanatory. I think I provided this to you as well. Other business, property checks. Anybody been out to properties this month?
I went to Morris Falls today,
and I went to Parker Place.
Parker
Go.
Park.
Pardon?
Parker Park, it sounds like you're playing Monopoly.
Sorry.
We're not building any
Right, no
hotels.
problem.
We'll go Harry first
Okay, go.
on Parker Park.
Well, when I went over there, the trail, the property that we own seemed to be in fairly decent shape. There's very little water in the stream.
Okay.
It looks like a totally different
Yeah,
situation. But I did notice there was a pile of sticks and brush that someone had piled up on our property, okay? Now, I don't know whether someone from recreation went down there or.
is it off the trail, to the side?
It's off the trail, but there definitely is a pile,
It's not,
like
a
somebody
pile is not a
gathered-
bad thing.
gathered it together.
Do you
Okay.
have, Jeff's,
Town?
Jeff Town's phone number that you could text him and ask him whether or not they've been down
Yeah.
there?
So, and then, I went beyond our property, and so the other thing I noticed is, there was the big rumor about poison ivy. There was very little, either it's been so dry, there was very little poison ivy.
Good.
So that was a good thing. But the trail itself, no beavers this year.
Are you sure they didn't create the pile that you're talking about?
No, if they did that, we wanna know
You'll hire
who
him?
they are because we can hire them.
Yeah.
Now, what I did do, which is not related to our property, but I went beyond our property on that trail.
So that, coincidentally, that's our easement. So the recreation really manages our property, but once you get past our property, you get onto the Steve Normanton farm land, or agrarian trust land,
Okay.
for which we have an easement on.
Now, that trail needs work,
Yep.
definitely.
No,
That's-
whereabouts does it need work?
Before you go up that incline hill where
Yes.
you've got to
Really
pull
bad.
the
Well, the
rope.
first thing I noticed is there was a cave-in, or whatever you wanna call it, a big hole right in the middle of the trail. And if you weren't paying attention, in you went.
Whereabouts, not on the steep hill part?
No, when you start up, just at the base of it,
Okay.
and I went up a little bit further just to look, because I had never really been there. But that trail definitely needs work, there's
Okay.
no question about it.
Matt, maybe you and I can go out there and, take a look at it and see what we would need to do to get it up to snuff. Cause there are some like little bridges that are there that probably need to be.
Oh, no, the
fi-
bridges were,
Fi-
well, I think that's still, no, is that bridge is still on our property?
That's not on our,
I found the marker where our property ended, and then I know there were little pieces of bridging or
yeah,
whatever, which seemed to be okay, because of lack of water.
alright.
But when you started up to the
Steep hill?
steep incline, that's when that trail really,
So we actually aren't responsible for too much of
We're
it then if it's.
responsible though because we have that easement on that.
Okay.
We are actually, we were talking about that a little bit when we were at the meeting, yesterday. Because we have that easement on there, we are responsible to make sure that agrarian is doing their job out there. And if they're
is
not,
that right?
then we need to take
Well,
them.
we have to see what kind of
Yes.
easement it is that we have on there.
So, yeah, because I ran into two folks who were walking it, and, anyway, so, and I
And
tried
what I
to
wanted
use,
say about the brush pile, a brush pile is not necessarily a bad thing, it's actually a good thing, if it's off the trail.
well, if somebody in our group did it,
Even if
then
somebody
it needs
didn't.
to be removed.
No,
You
it
can't-
doesn't, why does it need to be removed? It's actually, animals and birds use the brush pile.
Well, it's not actually, it's not brush, it's actually big pieces of branching, tree limbs, not brush as you know brush,
Okay,
but it
Somebody
shouldn't.
dumped trees there, cut down trees and threw them in a big pile there or something.
No, this looks like someone
it's just cleaned up.
went through,
Oh, and
cleaned up.
dragged, yeah.
But didn't finish the job.
Stuff that fell down into the stream.
yeah, kind of. So, anyway,
Alright,
El
and
Natural.
we'll take a look at that and then,
and then you guys are gonna, well, someone's gonna help me with the scan thing, because my phone.
we'll do that at the end.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead, no, I have something else to bring up too.
Can do that under member input.
Okay,
Joan?
Okay, so Moore's Falls, I just took the dog for a walk today, and, the first time I think I've ever seen no water in that little stream that runs from the trolley track down to the river, bone dry.
Yep. it's
Um,
brutal.
Oh, we need, hunter beware signs, that's a pedestrian area. I did see two guys with, I guess they had shotguns, I was on the river, actually like in the river, because there's no water, and had my binoculars, and they were down more towards the, little part where Matt used to clean up. Today started squirrel and turkey season, so, and I was kicking myself, cause I didn't have hunter orange today either.
Joan,
Yeah,
you said, when did you go to Moores Falls?
today,
Today?
4:00.
Turkey season and squirrel season don't exist until October.
I got an email from Fish and Game that they started today,
They do? They changed it?
squirrel and turkey today. So
That's interesting.
check Fish and Game's website. And there was, guys down there ready to shoot at something, I guess.
It's pretty much, in New Hampshire, the season's pretty much run back to back to back to back. There's almost always
Yeah,
something.
but
in-
bow for turkey starts really
Pardon?
early. Bow season for turkey starts real early. I don't know if that's.
I don't,
Yeah,
I
but
don't know,
not
which way, but I
shotgun.
know I got a Fish and
I
Game
didn't think
email.
shotgun season started for turkey until,
Well, check that out.
oh.
Anyway, let me get back to Morse Falls. The trail down is very good, it's been widened out, the upper field is good, the bluebirds appreciate it being mowed, they were up there catching bugs. the trail down is nice and is nicely
I
maintained.
cut that last weekend,
Looks good.
and it took over 2 hours to mow the top field
With the new
Yeah, it's a
tractor.
big-
with the new tractor.
There were 2 bags that people did not pick up. I picked them up, one in the parking lot, a larger one on the trail, in a bag. Picked it up in my bags. Picked up the debris that was in the parking lot, because I just don't like to see it.
I pick it up when I'm.
And, there are 2 tree falls. There's one, as you go down on the riverbank trail, there's one that I don't think we can do anything about. It's a big one hanging, and there's another one that I had to duck under, but that was about it. And there's
Okay.
one that's just got like leaves down, that, like you had at,
Is it near where the trail goes along the river and it dips and comes back up?
no, not there, it's before that.
Okay.
Recent, looks like there's been some recent falls, tree falls. Matt had cleaned up
Kinda
a lot
on
of
the-
it in December.
There's one that's kinda off the trail though, right, on the left-hand side as you go where that big drop
Yeah,
down is, no?
There's one
There's-
that I
there's
had to
one
duck
on-
under, that's a new, I know it's a new one.
Hmm.
I didn't go to the little spur trail, I just went to the, caretaker cabin and turned around, cause the sun was in my eyes. And that's about, oh, so I might still have, or I can get the hunter beware, because we didn't ever posted that area no hunting, the selectmen weren't interested in posting it no hunting. So, we need to tell hunters that there are there's multi-use area. And I can get those
Didn't
from
we
fishing
used to
game.
have a sign in there that said multi-use area, because that's how I knew that hunters were allowed in it, before I was
Well,
on
and I looked at the
conservation.
kiosk, looks real good too, that's cleaned up nicely, the kiosk.
It might be on that big sign, Diane, that that's on the side of the
Brown one, I
kiosk?
don't think it is, it's not anything about,
No, there was a sign up that said multiple
Yeah,
use area.
it was,
There
on the
definitely
trolley
was.
track, yeah.
Yeah,
they do have on the orange ones that say,
what we have is signs that say no target shooting.
Right, that was different.
that's
issue.
down, was further down, I think that one might be gone.
That was for
And we
Darlene.
still need to get a hold of Jack Curtin. We paid him for the plexiglass. We need to get those, with the interpretive signs fixed that, Boy
Okay.
Scout did.
I'll talk to him again. I talked to him in August, and, he said that he would get me that stuff, so I'll talk to him again.
Okay.
And it just never followed up.
Okay.
All right.
So it looks like squirrel starts September 1st and turkey for archery starts September 15th.
And also
Squirrel.
bear season started.
Yeah,
today.
bear season
Bear.
starts today too.
That was it,
Yeah,
Bear.
Our
there you
one
go.
bear in
There's the
town.
big one.
The big one.
This is a big one.
It wasn't turkey, it was bear and squirrel.
That's, wow, I'm surprised.
Okay. Anything else on properties? Moore's Falls, I did cut that this weekend, and then I did go down didn't go down to the river, but I cut down to where the trolley tracks were.
Yeah, it looks real good. It's
It
nice
looks
line.
really, really good. It
Really
was,
nice.
it was high, and it hadn't been cut in about a month, so we gotta make sure we don't let it
That was
go.
good because I was thinking when the path that's worn down, it's good to a little widen it out that much, cause that's gonna get eroded if we keep just walking on that one
Yep.
little dirt path.
I wouldn't mind taking the tractor, and there's a couple of those
Matt,
tree stumps down there that are sticking out.
Google Docs.
Yep.
When you go from the parking lot, down the main path, down to the,
Trolley track.
the
I'm
trolley
looking for a
tracks.
Westerfield
you
file
go
I
to that
created
area where all
today.
those down trees,
Whereabouts
someone
would it be?
covered up, there's just down
It
trees
would
that,
be in
and,
Google Docs.
that are
as the
buried.
document I created in
logs
there.
that are buried.
Yeah, this is the
Be
Google
careful,
Docs
cause that's
site.
where we got the wetland.
I've got a
And you
different
go down
view
to,
maybe.
on the right?
Maybe.
No, it's right on the trail, right on the path going down there, there's
It should have
logs
all
that
the
are
folders.
down that
Those
are
are
buried.
those are the, I knew somebody would question,
Hang on one
those are
sec.
the skid logs from when they logged.
Would it
You don't wanna
be-
dig those up, cause you'll just,
Trip all over them,
Under
they
like the
kill
word
the mower.
perfect, the word
uh,
processing
So there's a
file.
few of them that are popped up really
Under
high.
Oh,
project
yeah.
maybe?
Not the ones that are, I wouldn't wanna dig them up, but there's
Right,
ones that are
right.
popped
Okay.
up.
Correspondence, it would be correspondence.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, there was a folder for that.
What do we got,
I'm looking for the correspondence, cause I printed it out, but I can't find it.
all right, I might be able to get that for you. on here.
Okay, all right, great.
Okay,
Bunch
correspondence,
of
all
Word
right,
docs there.
Diane.
Yeah.
We're gonna table that for a second, we're gonna go to member input.
Okay.
Harry, you had a couple things you wanted to say?
Yeah, last meeting, Joan and Diane were gonna help me out with a fishing derby. Joan was gonna talk to Jean at Chase Brook.
What month are we in? We're in September, Harry.
Yeah, it's in the minutes of the meeting.
To talk to Jack, to talk to Jean now?
Did you find it?
Yeah, and talk to him about
You're awesome.
possibly changing his mind.
Okay.
Diane, did you ever get hold of Paul?
I actually drove by Paul and almost stopped today. I haven't. I will
Okay.
go talk to him to see.
Yeah, I'm kind of dying with curiosity on
I'll
what
go
his
talk to him,
comments were.
but like Joan says, it's September. We have some time to do it.
Okay,
All right, so we will. We definitely will, because we had a bunch this month that we have worked on another
Yeah,
aspect
'cause
that I won't forget. I'll have it for October, I promise.
okay.
Anything else, Harry?
No, that was about it. I just wanted to follow up on that.
Cool. Mr. Croto, anything?
I have nothing.
Joan, any?
I do
Comments?
have information on the Darrah Pond milfoil.
Oh, milfoil.
Ooh, let's see.
Forgot about it. You got too many balls in the air, Joan.
You got a lot.
You got a lot of balls in the, put that in the
Okay.
minutes.
Too many balls.
Like the balls.
Yeah, in the air.
So I talked to, I've had 2 calls into Solitude, no response. I called the local number, I called the, national number, she was gonna put me in the queue. But I did get a hold of Joe Ornato, who used to work for Solitude, has now got his own company with another person. This is quite interesting. They do work in southern New England. They haven't been licensed in New Hampshire yet, although a lot of people are calling Amy Smagula at DES and saying, we can't get a hold of these companies. Why isn't this, I forget the exact name of the company, Wetland and something, that Joe Ornato has created. I think they created in 2018. So he has a meeting with Amy Smagula in September, and he has a feeling that he probably will go forward and get the licensing in New Hampshire. He said to call him October 1st, and then we'll know what's happening with his company. We did talk extensively about native milfoil, where the state won't give us any funds because it's native milfoil. It's not a good idea to rake it because all you're doing is breaking off the pieces and they reroot. So it should not be raked, and I hope the public hears that. He did talk about, it might take because Solitude had 2/3 of the pond done, it might take twice to do that in 2 applications. But there's this new product that has a 3-year guarantee, but of course it's a manufacturer's guarantee, so there's a lot of caveats with it. It works a lot better than what we used before. We used Stingray in 2014, I think it was. It works a lot better. It's better for the drinking water situation because it's in the same cone of influence as the production wells. So I did have a really good conversation with him, and I'll be calling him back October 1st to see
All right.
what his plans are.
Do you have the name of the new product by any chance?
It's a big, long chemical name.
Okay.
Does,
Okay.
Joan,
Yeah.
treating the milfoil, does it affect the, fish or?
Yes, and it's specifically what I said to him about dissolved oxygen. His company would do dissolved oxygen tests beforehand and after, and that's why they might have to do 2 separate applications, because they would make sure that they weren't affecting the dissolved, they'd have the
Okay.
numbers what the dissolved oxygen should be, so they wouldn't wanna bring it down too
Yeah,
low.
because that survey that you had, I think you sent it out, or
It
the
was the
last survey.
Last one we did, right?
Yeah, they said that apparently, and you had said that Darrah Pond was spring-fed to
Spring-fed.
begin with, and they claim that it's highly anticipated that you could put warm water, fish in there. You could restock,
You can't put any fish in anywhere without a permit from the state.
pardon?
You can't
No,
introduce anything without a permit.
Okay,
from
let
the
me
state.
rephrase it. The pond is, if it got stocked by the state, would accept
Warm
would
water
accept
fish.
the natural warm water fish,
Like bass and pickerel.
like bass and bluegills and pickerel and perch
You
and
want a
stuff.
stock pickerel. but
Pardon?
And is that a big enough pond to
I
support
think you would
those?
have to get
Those
the
are some bigger
handle
fish,
on the
right?
milfoil before you
There's a good
even
sized bass in there,
Are they really?
Huh.
did anything
4
like that.
pounds or so.
There is?
In there now?
Maybe I'll need to verify that.
Milfoil is mostly around the
Outside, yeah.
outside of it, so once you get your kayak in or whatever it is you're using to get to
Just
the
in the
middle
middle
of
is like 24 feet, that's the deepest. And
So
the
that's-
edge is
okay.
not deep.
So that's
That's cool.
good, Joan, and then for the minutes, we know there's an issue with milfoil,
Native milfoil.
native milfoil at Dara Pond. Joan has been working with the Recreation Commission to figure out how we could alleviate that
By the
problem.
way, I did go to the Recreation Commission, I don't have the date, I left those notes in there.
It went to the Recreation Commission in August, and so I think if, the goal is if you can figure this out by the beginning of October, we might be able to get with the Recreation Commission, if we all agree to it, that we might put in a warrant article. It won't be for that much, I think it was 15 grand or
And
something like
that's
that to treat it, if
do
we
the
feel
damn
that's the
thing.
right thing to do.
The person I was talking to said, you know, that if I ever get hold of Solitude, I can get a quote from them, and then hopefully he'll know in October if he's going to be licensed in the state, and we can get some numbers. And we did talk about a warrant article, so that, and the timing of, to
Yep.
get something by December, to have some numbers.
Did they have specific times of year that they treat or
Yeah,
recommend
in
treating?
the springtime, not until late summer.
Well, that's good, then we could get a warrant article in.
Well,
and
we have to,
could
you know,
do
get a
this.
figure, a
Yeah.
number from him.
Line everything up.
Okay.
That's Joan. Do you have anything?
I have two. Meeting with Steve Normanton on Tuesday. Gonna
You
talk-
are meeting with them on Tuesday? Oh,
Mhm.
excellent.
Yeah, yep, I spoke to him today. Not around tomorrow, so we're gonna meet on Tuesday. We're gonna talk about, the garden, the lease, and, adjourning and doing business in town, and
Okay.
how it's going. And then another thing I wanna mention is that I know this board always has a lot to say about dog poop. And not necessarily that I poop it, but I am always, you know, conscious of the fact that there's, you know, a lot of reasons why poop happens.
A
But
lot
there
of reasons
is
why it's not
something,
good, too.
so there is something I wanna bring up about it right now, which is that there is a dog virus that is going around. It's becoming very, apparent that it can be severe.
Yeah, I heard
Young
about that.
dogs, old dogs, are getting it and are sick with it. They're saying it's airborne, they're not necessarily sure.
That's the respiratory one
Everything.
that's going around?
Yeah, there have been dogs in Litchfield that have had it. So I would caution, the dog owners that are listening to us and that you mention it to your friends, pick up your poop, because that's definitely a place that can be spreading that. So let's get that taken care of. If you had no other motivation before, keeping your own dog healthy and the dogs that you love and care about that walk that path and that walk those trails should definitely be being picked up. And if you
Because there
see
was
it,
some that was not picked up.
and there was some last month when I went down and I picked it up, and, so if you see it poop, pick a poop. You know, pick it up, let it go, and take care of it. And I sincerely want a garbage can down there at that
Where did-
location.
where-
I'm gonna mention it
I
again.
did not talk to Kevin
Yeah.
about that.
Morse
That's
Falls.
one thing
I
that's
want a
slipped my
garbage can
mind.
at Morris
Yeah.
Falls. Really want that.
Should we
That-
look at
we
like
need to
making
talk
poop
to-
bags available or something?
They are,
like
Do
they
you
are.
have
There's-
poop
we
bags?
bought a kiosk and there's bags there, I've checked
So-
it today, they're full.
And they do use poop bags, but a lot of times they leave those poop bags there,
Yeah.
and a lot of times there are ones
Yeah.
that aren't being picked up. And sometimes I think those poop bags that are left there are probably people that grabbed a few and picked up poop on their way and said, you know what, I picked it up, they can take it from here.
No, we don't know, we don't
So
know.
you can only speculate, but here is another reason to pick up that poop, because, it can spread this virus that is really, serious, and there's a lot of dog lovers in town, so.
One other
Just be careful.
comment about the park. Now, last year at the fishing derby, we saw maybe half a dozen people walking their dogs down there. And when I went down there, there was no evidence of dog poop or people just leaving or doing any, which I was a
That is
little,
primarily more Litchfield people, that edge of town with Morris Falls can be anybody.
yeah. But it just kind of surprised me because we had seen people bring dogs and we figured,
Yeah, well, it's
but
good to
there
hear.
was no evidence of it whatsoever, which is a good thing.
Matt, do you have anything?
I do not.
All right. The only thing I have is, I did put these things up at Moores Falls, I put them up at the muster field across from the old town hall. Probably put one up at Parker Park at some point in time. Actually talked to the Recreation Commission, and they're doing the same thing, and they're using the same QR codes. In the pick list of parks, you're gonna see recreation areas and conservation areas, and based on how they pick whatever park they pick, it'll send, if it's Moores Falls, it'll send all us an email, and if it's Dara Pond, it'll send recreation an email. And then all this goes into one big database that lives on our Google Drive somewhere. I haven't taken a look yet. So those are going up. And other than that, nobody else has comments? Approval of meeting minutes?
I have an extra set if anybody needs printed twice.
I read through the
I
meeting
read them.
minutes. I might have
Need one,
provided a
Michael?
comment or two. Anybody have any comments?
I read
on
them,
the
I
meeting?
thought they were fine.
No,
I didn't think they were fine, I thought they were awesome. I'm a fan.
Yeah, they're very
Just because
detailed.
you don't wanna do
They're
them.
good, right?
They're very good. I
Well,
mean,
no, I
No,
don't,
no,
that's
they
true.
are good, but-
But those things aren't mutually exclusive. I've seen minutes that I haven't done that are not good. However, these particular minutes are
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Oh, how do you spell, is this how you spell under page, 5? Under member input, Diane Plansky, is that how you spell Algerian Trust? I
Okay.
never knew how to say it.
It's agrarian, I
Agrarian.
believe, and
And I always have to look.
I believe it's AGRARIAN.
Yep.
Agrarian.
Okay,
AGRARIAN.
okay.
Trust. Yep, Agrarian Trust. Is that the only change?
I think so.
Okay, I'll call for a motion on approving the minutes.
Make a motion, we approve August,
4,
is it August 5th?
4,
August 4th meeting minutes
as amended.
as amended.
We have a motion by Harry.
I'll second.
We have a second by Michael. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, all abstained, motion carries 600. Diane, back to the one thing that we skipped over was correspondence.
So we got a request from, Mr. Stephen Calloway from the Historical Society, who was here last month. This is regarding, this email here. Is it possible, if it is possible, the Litchfield Historical Society would like to have the muster field restored to an open field as it was in the 18th and 19th centuries. It was an open field that Charles McQuestion planted with corn until the 70s. It is currently overrun with invasive species, and we would like to see it a field again. It's an interesting request.
Well, let's back up a little bit. They're on map 12.
So where we're talking about is if you're at the old town hall and you walk across the street and you come to the little historic area, up on the left, there's a little trail that goes up there. At the top there, that I believe was the quote-unquote original muster field that used to be a farm field and is
Okay.
now just kind of overrun.
So, right, because it's real narrow when you go up the little slight hill, and then, okay, he's talking about up in here, where Matt made a circle route up in
Yep.
there, okay.
Map 12.
And,
Joan?
yeah, yes. 12, it's 1212, lot 12, map 12. 8 acres. So there's a big, drop off when you're kind of in front of the Griffin School area. So I guess he's just talking about the upper
Right,
field.
the upper reach. There's a lot of ticks up there.
Yeah,
I don't like ticks.
12.
so that's a
Can it
request
be
from the Historic
originally-
Society?
Can it be cleaned out?
I think what we would have to do is maybe just go take a quick look at it, just to see, I mean,
With
my
Steve.
personal feeling is if it was farmland, I would like it to try to stay farmland, you know, or historically open, I would like it to stay historically open. So it just doesn't get away from us, but I think we gotta take a look at it, just to make sure it's not.
And you wouldn't wanna clear too close to the riverbank, because that
No.
banking is really unstable.
Yeah,
But Matt had gone up with a DR mower and made a little loop trail, it's probably
Yeah.
grown in now.
That was when we were.
it's
doing
completely
this.
grown. I went about a month after maybe 2 months after he created that trail, and it was already grown in. I couldn't tell where it
The bittersweet
went.
up there is pretty bad.
Yeah.
But the big tractor would take
Get
care
the
of
brush
it.
hog, and we could.
Yeah,
So.
but
so
you would
this
wanna
is,
keep
where
the dead
the,
stuff,
apartments are
you
right
know, you
across
wanna keep a
from
decent
this
Yep.
Griffin.
10-12 foot
those
buffer
apartments.
along.
Yep, I
all the way
agree.
through here. And he made a path
No, I
from
can
the
believe
field
it.
this way.
I have a lot of that,
Bittersweet.
vines all over my yard.
Bittersweet.
yeah.
It's even spread up the hill by me, I have to keep pulling it.
It's
just
killing, it's
terrible.
killing trees, it's just killing trees.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so what I think we can do there is we can put this on the agenda for next month, take a look at it between now and then, just to see what's up there. I'm kinda scared to go up there.
Do you think Steve would meet us up there? And then.
I think
he
so.
could-
Right now, it's so overgrown that I think we can only go
So far?
Yeah.
so far.
Yeah,
Do you wanna, will you contact him and maybe we can go
Sure,
up there and
yeah.
and
You
talk
wanna
about
come
it
with
with
me?
our map? Sure, I'd love to.
Awesome.
I love it over there, I think it's really cool.
Anybody else wanna come? We'll
Sure,
set
let
it
me
up
know.
and we'll send
Let
an
me know.
email out. Nope.
Where? I mean, when? When do you think?
well, you have to.
I'll talk to Mr. Calawa, then we'll just set up a time and I'll shoot an email out
Okay.
and whoever can show, can show.
With these vines,
Bittersweet.
yeah, I know, is there, even if you have to end up just about digging them out?
I have an invasive plant book, and it tells you what to do on each kind of invasive,
You do have such a book?
yeah, I do,
Could you,
I will bring it in.
I'd like to share that
That
with
I'll-
section of it.
I'll send
That
you that,
section, yeah.
copy that section and scan it
I
to you.
mean, I have it in my woods that are part of my woods that I have wetlands that I don't go into and I wanna get rid of it on where I can see it.
I'll scan you the pages on that.
I just cleaned out a whole section next to the house, and we thought it was like about 80% lilacs, and it turned out to be 80% vines.
Yeah, I think
And
that,
it was a mess.
I have one more thing to remember, in fact, when I go back.
Yep.
Cleanup day,
right.
not until it gets a little cooler. We need to do another cleanup in the fall. So in October, we need to schedule.
When do
October-
we typically do that?
Spring and fall,
October?
we're supposed to do 4, but we do 2.
Do we typically do it in October?
No, we kind of wait till either they
We've done
mow
it
the
in
sides of the road.
Haven't we?
Huh?
We've done it in November. I think.
Yeah, November.
Is this, again, Moore's Field, Moore's,
No, this
Falls,
is, we signed up with the state years ago to clean up Route 3A from
Oh, just the
um,
street cleanup, okay.
Pinecrest to
Yeah.
Hillcrest.
We get out there with our cool vests on and walk down the road and pick up all the,
And lately
I
we've
think
had
it's like
police
a new
escort.
member orientation, initiation.
you run out ahead of us.
You can do the curve by the school. No, no.
Ooh, she usually gives me that, she doesn't
Diane
like
likes
it.
the curve
I
though,
actually
because you
like the
get
curve.
police detail
I
with you.
do.
Yeah.
Sometimes they put the siren on
Yeah.
for me, it gets me all excited.
So we approved
Oh, we did
the
approve
minutes.
yeah.
Next meeting is October 6th
At the fire
At-
station,
at 6:30 PM
at the fire station.
at the fire station. It is?
Is the budget committee.
Budget committee.
Okay. So
It's
it looks
already on
like
the
the
calendar
next,
that way, I don't know who did it, but
all right. Looks like the next meeting is at the fire station
Sure,
on
John did
October
it.
6th at 6:30 PM. Anybody else have anything?
That's the new fire station?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta walk in the front.
Other than if there really is, hunting season has started, is try and wear orange or some sort of
Good idea.
orange out there.
don't wear a white hat when deer season starts. Or white mittens.
you know.
Joan, you
it's
told
just-
me I should. What do you mean?
She
You-
probably
Why
did.
did you buy
I
that?
saw a bike rider out in the, off Tanager with a white hat during deer hunting season. With a strict white hat.
He said,
Riding a
"Bye-bye."
bike with a white, no.
Pom-pom?
And it kind of went, pew, pew.
All right, item number 7, public input, saying that anybody here will open it up for public input. We do have one person in the audience, and it doesn't look like they have any public input, so we'll close public input. Next item, we're going to go into non-public for a couple of minutes. We have a few things to discuss. So we will come out of non-public. We're gonna go into non-public at 8:14 PM. We're only gonna adjourn the only thing we're gonna do when we get out of non-public is adjourn the meeting. So I'll take a roll call vote to go into non-public, starting Mr. Croto.
Aye.
Ms. McGibbon.
Aye.
I am an aye.
Aye.
Ms. Plansky.
Aye.
Mr. Manzikian, Mr. Hoffman.
Aye.
We are now in non-public. Thank you very much. Have a good night.